In the world of manifestation, we obviously want to talk a lot about fulfillment. We want to talk a lot about living in the end. We want to talk about techniques that can help you live in the end. But because fulfillment and living in the end can feel so mysterious to a lot of us, like it's this thing that coaches and teachers try to describe with words, but it's this felt experience. Fulfillment is this change in your state of being, in your energy, and often that can be subtle, it can be hard to explain, and often it's not really clearly explained, like what is not fulfillment. So that's what today we're really going to get into, the difference between fear and fulfillment, because in my eyes, those are the only two choices you have for your energy. I want to keep it extremely simple. And in this video today, a lot of you are going to have breakthroughs and be able to see very clearly where you're making a choice to go into fear that's not going to manifest a different life, or go into fulfillment that is. Because I get that this feeling of fulfillment can feel like something you are chasing. But as I said, fulfillment's actually very subtle. Sometimes it's like not even felt. And so you know you're there as long as you're not doing the fear-based stuff that I'm going to describe to you in this video. So again, it's going to be so clear, you're really going to get it after this, and you're not going to be in your fear-based energy questioning like, oh, well, am I in fulfillment? You're not going to be doing that anymore, because you'll know, okay, I know what fulfillment is, and I know exactly what not to do to take me out of fulfillment. So we're really going to get deep into this today. This is a very valuable video, but before we get deeper into all of the juiciness, let me introduce myself to those of you who maybe don't know me yet. My name is Genevieve, and I'm a manifestation coach. I am here to make things a little more clear to you. I'm here to take things out of just like superficial technique land and really go deeper so that you can have these more profound shifts that, as I said, they are profound. Sometimes you really feel the shift. Sometimes they're so profound yet subtle. And again, don't even overanalyze that, because we're gonna actually talk about that very thing, overanalyzing, in a bit. But doing what I tell you to do is gonna help you shift and therefore get physical results you want. But I'm here to tell you that the physical results you want they're only gonna happen if you genuinely change your state within yourself. And that doesn't need to be hard, but it does take some focus. So if you, like me, my style of teaching and talking on this channel, there's lots of ways you can work with me. There are courses that you can do. You can go on down into the description. There's links to all the courses. You can do coaching with me, although the coaching is very booked out. But as of the moment that I'm posting this video, the calendar is still open, so you can go book an appointment with me if you would like to. Or you can join the membership portion of this channel, where I have a tier that offers group coaching. So all the links are down below if you want to work with me more in depth. Okay, all that out of the way, let's get into this. So as I said earlier, let's keep this extremely simple, because it really is. You only have two choices in what you are investing your energy in. And I want to define some things for us here. So first of all, when I say energy, I mean your soul energy. Like God gave you, as a human being on this planet, He gave you the gift of creative consciousness. And that's where your life force energy is flowing through. And it's always flowing through you. It's never turned off. You're never bad at manifesting. It's just that it's either flowing into fear, and therefore you're getting a lot of great fear manifestations that are matching and validating the fear that you've been internalizing, or again, the other option is you're in inner fulfillment and trust, and therefore you're seeing, oh, I'm seeing some mirrored validation of my positive assumptions, or those higher trusting things that I'm thinking. Your creative conscious energy is only flowing in those two ways. We're gonna keep it so simple like that. But now we need to define fear. What do I mean by, if you're in a fear-based consciousness or a fear-based self-concept, what do I mean by that? Well, I don't mean that you're always afraid. Being in a fear-based consciousness doesn't mean that you're feeling physical fear. Fear-based consciousness is about control, specifically about controlling the 3D. A fear-based consciousness is very obsessed with the external world, whereas a fulfillment-based consciousness is very comfortable and secure in their internal world. So that's the big difference between the two. Fear-based energy is always looking outside and is always looking for validation, it's looking for proof, it's trying to figure things out, whereas fulfillment-based energy is very secure with the way they talk to themselves in a positive way, the things they just know about themselves. They just know what they know about themselves. They don't need anything from the 3D reality, and that's why the 3D reality is very non-resistant to them and just tends to flow to them. So I, in my typical Genevieve fashion, made a little whiteboard that I'm trying to hold in a certain way so that it doesn't get a glare on it. But I kind of wrote down exactly what I just said. So you only have 2 choices for your energy. There's only 2 options. You can either go into fear, which is completely obsessed with the 3D, or you can go into fulfillment, which is turning towards self, your God self, in a self-validating, self-trusting, and very surrendered way. So if you want to, like, you can screenshot this or like pause it and like take notes from what I have written down here. I'm so sorry that my like chicken scratch is the way it is, but this is just kind of a handy visual to kind of remind you like which way are you going here. But again, it really is as simple as you ask yourself, am I really obsessing about the 3D right now? And if the answer is yes, you know you've slipped into fear-based energy and you know that you are in resistance. Fear-based energy, as I said, is obsessed with the 3D. It's always trying to figure out the 3D. It's always a little bit like hyper-vigilant in the 3D, and it's really quick. Your hyper-vigilant, fear-based energy is really quick to assign meanings to the 3D. And that's something I also really want you to consider. And I'm gonna talk about actually a client story where I'm gonna break this down a little bit more. But if you're obsessed with needing everything to have a positive meaning in your reality, like you're hyper-vigilantly like, oh my God, things are happening and maybe I'm a little confused by them and I'm freaked out and I've like gotta give them a positive meaning, you know you're in fear-based energy, because fulfillment energy is very surrendered about the 3D. Surrender and detachment with the 3D is just a natural consequence of when you're just so secure within yourself, where you just know what you know about yourself, you feel just strong in your assumptions, and you don't make any 3D thing take away what you've decided is true about you. When you're naturally in that state, it's just really easy to not be so freaked out about every little 3D things that happen, or every little thing. You don't need to like, oh my God, I got to give that a meaning and it feels so scary to me. Like, you're not doing that because you're just kind of neutral about the 3D. And as you know, if you watch my videos, you've probably heard me say a million times, the biggest paradox of manifesting that you really need to embrace is when you no longer need a damn thing from the 3D. You're not like looking for it. You're not waiting for it. You're not really living in any need for 3D validation, because you've achieved this like, wow, I've really got me. I'm really tapped into knowing that fulfillment comes from me, and all I have to do is simply accept that I am whole, that I am complete, that I have whatever I want to assume that I have. All I need to do is tap into like, that is real and alive within me right now. It's really all you have to do is what I mean. It's so freaking simple. You just have to do it all the time, especially if you're used to being fear-based. You've got to redirect to like, we got to remember what's really going on. Because when you really become good at assuming what you assume, trusting that you have what you have, whether or not you see the 3D giving it to you, when you're really in that much inner fulfilled security, and you don't really, it's just the natural consequence is that you kind of, you're just naturally more surrendered to the 3D. You're just naturally more detached, and therefore it can flow towards you better. So please embrace the paradox that the more you're obsessed about the 3D and obsessed about 3D results, and you're like, oh my God, it's been this amount of time and nothing is manifested. The more you're doing that, the more you know your energy, the choice that you're making is to give that life-giving energy. You're giving that energy back to the fear-based energy. You're creating a feedback loop where you are legitimizing, yep, it's been a lot of time, I'm not seeing any results, yep, I'm still obsessed with the 3D. And because you're taking that seriously, that's what you're creating. Another way to really simplify law of assumption in particular is, what are you taking seriously in your reality? Because whatever you're taking seriously and whatever you're making a problem or whatever you're making a good thing, those things that you take seriously, the things that you identify with, you will create more of. So another really simple question to ask yourself if you're confused about whether or not you're in fulfillment or fear is to ask yourself, what am I taking seriously right now? And remember, if you are fixating on any 3D thing and you're really taking the meaning that you're giving that 3D thing seriously, because that's also the thing, is what the 3D is what you're obsessed with, and the meaning that you've given it, you keep obsessing over. Like if that's what you're doing, you know that you are in fear-based energy. If you're able to see something in the 3D that is, maybe not your preference, or maybe is confusing, or maybe isn't easy to assign a positive meaning to, can you just sort of see that 3D thing and just be neutral to it and just let it float on by without attaching to it, without identifying with it, and just internally validate yourself? Because that's what we're supposed to be doing as manifestors, is we're saying like, okay, whatever this is, I'm gonna like pull my energy back from this 3D thing that I'm seeing and I'm kind of confused about. I'm not gonna hyperfixate on it. I'm not gonna try to figure it out. I'm not gonna like obsess about needing to figure out the meaning of it. I'm just gonna let it go. I'm just gonna lean back my energy, come back into myself. This is where all your power is. It's not in the 3D. You have no direct control over how and when the 3D materializes. You only have direct control over what you're taking seriously within yourself. Where are you giving your energy? Again, are you feeding it into the fear, or are you feeding it back into fulfillment? So this is where I wanna tell just a little story that happened with a client on a call a few days ago. And I thought after I had this conversation with her, I was like, I should really bring this up in a video, because I bet that what she's kind of doing right now is what I bet a lot of people, especially people in law of assumption world, what a lot of them might be doing, and it needs to be addressed and corrected. So let me tell you the story. So obviously, to keep things like vague and private, I won't go into her circumstances, but the bottom line is she had something pop up in her 3D that she did not like. It was like the opposite of what she wanted. To keep it simple, it was something like it was that her SP didn't communicate. Like he didn't reach out to her for a period of time. And this is right after he had been reaching out, and then he went quiet. And so she was obviously very triggered by, why all of a sudden the communication has stopped. And so she was asking me in this kind of obsessive way, like, help me figure out a new meaning for this, because I won't feel better about this until I can apply a new story to it. And so I'm bringing this up with you guys because I think a lot of you might be doing this, where you're still fixating on the 3D and thinking that everything negative, you need to obsessively like, oh, I need to think of a new story for this. Oh my God, I can't handle this, so I need to think of a new story for this. No, when the 3D gives you something that you don't like, or is the opposite of what you would like to be seeing, your job is to actually just disregard it, like completely let it go. Because when you're in your head thinking things like, I can't feel better about this until I convince myself of a good reason, like, oh, if I can convince myself that, oh, he was just really busy, or oh, he's just thinking of what to say, like that's still the same insecure old story trying to soothe itself because it's obsessed with the 3D. I hope I'm making sense to you. What I need you guys to do is to stop needing anything from the 3D. You don't need to give everything a positive meaning. In fact, you're probably spiritually bypassing and emotionally repressing yourselves because you might be so obsessed with, oh my God, everything I see, I just need to give it a new meaning. And oh my God, how do I do that? Like, can you tell from the energy of me acting that out that that's not really being in fulfillment? That's instead, you're still attached to the 3D. You're still obsessed about the 3D, and you're trying to control it. Like, fear-based energy loves to try to feel like it's in control. It wants to control circumstances. It's obsessed about circumstances. And so this is why your fear-based energy, when it pops up and it sees something it doesn't like, it obsesses over it. And it's like, okay, we just got to figure out something else that can be the reason that I feel better. And it's like the wounded part of you is trying to soothe itself as a temporary fix, because I get it. You probably, if you can think of, let's say, a really good excuse as to, why your SP didn't text you for a week or whatever, you will egoically soothe the fear-based energy, but you didn't really take the fear-based energy away. You actually validated the fear-based energy because you fed it. The fear-based energy told you, hey, this is really bothersome and it means something about you and it means something about your SP. So let's figure this out. Let's analyze this and let's give it a new meaning. It's like your fear-based energy is like hijacking manifestation speak and is like trying to use that against you. But if you take those questions from your fear-based energy seriously, like, hey, we got to figure this out. Hey, you're never going to be comfortable with this until you like figure out a new meaning for this. If you take those thoughts seriously and you feed it by giving it like, oh yeah, fear-based, you're right, we do need to give this a new meaning because otherwise I'll be bothered forever. You just validated the fear-based energy. So I hope it's making sense, because this is really big. And this is what I mean by I'm the kind of teacher, I want to go into the nuances of this, because this is probably something you've never even thought of before. That maybe you're accidentally feeding that fear-based controlling push energy that's causing resistance in the 3D. You might accidentally be feeding it by being too obsessed with thought flipping and too obsessed with needing to give everything in your 3D a positive meaning. Instead, all you need to do is drop it. Like the minute you hear your 3D obsessed fear energy say stuff to you like, hey, this is taking a long time, or hey, you haven't heard from your person in a long time. Maybe this is bad. Maybe you're doing something wrong. Maybe we should figure out what's going on here. Anytime questions like this come up and you take those questions seriously, you just made the wrong choice. But all you have to do is when those questions come up, you just say, I'm not taking the bait. I'm not going there. I'm not going into the 3D land. That's not where my fulfillment is. There's literally zero fulfillment in the 3D. It's just a mirror. Nothing comes from the 3D. It's literally just a mirror. There's no fulfillment there. It's like being obsessed with the 3D is continuing to open like an empty refrigerator where you know there's nothing in the refrigerator. It's not going to give you anything, but you keep being obsessed and being crazy and opening it thinking there's going to be some fulfillment there. But it's like, that's not going to it doesn't come from the 3D. The 3D is nothing but a reflector. So that's why you have to train fear-based energy to stop. And all you do to stop fear-based energy is you don't take the bait whenever it obsesses about anything in the 3D. Instead, you go to internal validation. You drop that and you go to, I know everything's working out for me. I don't even care what the heck's happening out here in the 3D. I know everything's working out for me. Or be as specific as you want, but make sure that you're self-validating in a way that's more about like your higher spiritual power you're tapping into. Don't try to validate circumstance on circumstance, because this is why I don't like thought flipping. Is a lot of the times when you say, no, my SP does love me and he's coming today, or whatever it is you say, it's still like you're trying to feed off of a 3D thing as opposed to internal knowing that like, we've got it going on. Everything is safe. Everything's working out. I love me. SP loves me. I know I'm giving a lot of SP examples, and there's always like a little handful of people that have no idea what an SP is, and they leave me comments like, please define what an SP is. And it's so funny because it's only like a few of you. Most of you are in the SP world, so you get it. But an SP is a specific person's for people who are manifesting people, specific people. Anyway, okay, I think this was enough for you guys to really get it, how simple it is. Fear is obsessed with the 3D. Fulfillment is obsessed with internally treating yourself better. It's about self-talk. It's about who do you relate to internally? Who do you see yourself as? Who do you genuinely believe you are, no matter what the 3D is doing or not doing? Always turn back to inner fulfillment to make manifestation. No matter what you're manifesting, it will work if you keep going to inner validation and completely let go of 3D validation. That is the paradox you have to so deeply and genuinely embrace. Really stop needing it. Stop needing results at all. 3D results at all. The 3D results will happen. That's the freakiness of it. But the more you're obsessing about them, the more they will probably evade you. So that's what I've got for you today. Now that we're at the end of the video, I have something to announce just for those of you who really watch me all the way through to the end. I am probably going to do a in-person retreat towards the end of January, and I'm really, really excited about this. I've never hosted an in-person retreat before, but right now nothing is set in stone yet in terms of dates. The location will probably be California, probably Temecula, California, and the pricing is also not fully nailed down yet, but it's gonna be anywhere between probably $3,000 to $5,000 to attend. It'll be a 3-day retreat, like a Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So I'm just kind of doing a soft launch of this because I want to hear from any of you who are genuinely interested in joining me in person for a really powerful in-depth retreat. It will be me, and also a really cool breathwork practitioner will be there. So it's going to be amazing, very in-depth. And if you're interested, I want you to email me, and I'm going to add you to a special list. So this is kind of my like soft launch, putting it out there that this is probably going to happen. Again, probably end of January, like I think maybe the last weekend of January, but even that date isn't fully set. So if you are genuinely interested and you're like, heck yeah, I would do this with you in California, end of January 2025, then please email me. My email is just healergenevieve@gmail.com, and I'll put the email in the description down below. But yeah, and I'll add you to a special list, and you can sign up as soon as we have all of the registration stuff launched. And there are obviously, as we get to it, there'll be more details about like exactly where we are, exactly what the dates are, all the itinerary stuff that'll be coming. So I just wanted to put that out there for those of you who are really interested. Just let me know. And also thank you for being patient that I haven't posted a video. As a lot of you have noticed, in like over 2 weeks, I was moving, I was traveling, a lot of big deep shifts have been happening in me and my reality. It's been really, really exciting and really, really powerful and emotional too. So thank you for being patient with me. I have so much deeper insights into the way that I want to explain things to you. Today was just like a start to that, of like, just kind of like some just different ways to explain things so that this really lands deeper. So so I'll be back to my regularly scheduled posting. So thank you guys for being here with me, and let me know, as always, your thoughts and questions and comments, all of that down in the comments below, because I do love to see that. I want to see what this brings up for you, what other questions you have, and I will make future videos to address those questions. So thank you guys, and I will see you guys in my next video. All right, bye.